having a timely early abortion, and then your government saw fit to take a court order to hydrate the woman forcibly. Now, the protection of life during pregnancy was meant to deal with these absolutely small number of situations where somebody's suicidal and was meant to have a right to an abortion, and it's failed at its first test, and it's proven to be completely and utterly barbaric. Now, this is a long line of examples of the Irish state taking control over women's bodies and women's lives. It is a thread going from the Magdalene laundries to the mother and baby homes and to symphysiotomy, where women actually have their pelvises broken in childbirth because ideological doctors saw fit to do that to them. Now we see this government continuing it on. For too long, this state has leaned on the Catholic Church for support, given it inordinate power, and now, at a time when its power is its support in society is so limited, continues to give it inordinate power over women's lives. The Socialist Party will be challenging the government to hold a referendum in the spring, and the constant mantra that there's no appetite falls completely foul of young people who are outside there, who you are light years removed from. This is not an issue for most people in society. Most people in Irish society would support the idea of abortion where a woman's life, health is at risk, and obviously where she's been raped or there's other abnormality.
Thank you.
And are you saying that we have to wait another 31 years to change this medieval law when no woman of childbearing age actually had a vote on that referendum back in 1983? Or are you just going to wait for another poor, sick woman to die because of your rank hypocrisy, because you might lose a few backbenchers, and because you're ideologically opposed to abortion?
Thank you, Deputy.
We need, to not continue the hypocrisy of forcing thousands of working class women to gather €1,500 to go abroad to have an operation which they could have for €90 through using abortion pills, for example, in this country. It's time for the hypocrisy to stop. Name a day for a referendum now to give people their say.
I thank the deputies for raising this important issue. The case of the young woman who has now become known as Miss Y is a very sad case for all of those concerned. I don't wish to comment further on it until I have all the facts available to me. I think it is wrong to jump to conclusions on any matter without knowing all of the facts, and I'm sure the deputies will agree. For the moment, what I can say is that she arrived in Ireland in late March 2014 and has successfully sought and was granted asylum in this state. In early August, she had a termination of pregnancy under Section 9 of the Protection of Life During Pregnancy Act by a planned preterm caesarean section. On the 18th of August, Tony O'Brien, the Director General of the Health Service, requested that a report be completed for him to establish all of the facts surrounding the care given to her. The purpose of this report is as follows. 1, to establish all of the factual circumstances and the sequence of events as they relate to the care provided to Miss Y during her pregnancy, her care and welfare, to include her mental health, and where relevant, the operation of the Protection of Life During Pregnancy Act 2013. 2nd, to examine and document the chain of communication among the different service providers, including referrals between services and the flow of information on Miss Y, both internally in the HSE and externally. In the event that any failings in service delivery are identified, the report is to identify the causes and the contributory factors so that they might be addressed. The time period to be covered by this report will be from the time that Miss Y first had contact with the HSE and related services or other agencies and NGOs regarding her pregnancy, until the time that her pregnancy was ended by caesarean section. When the report is submitted to me, I'll consider the HSE report and any appropriate action that may be taken at that point. I'm very keen to have the report sooner rather than later, but anyone who is referred to in this report has the right to see it first and comment on it before it is published, and that's what natural justice dictates. This will determine the final date of publication. In the meantime, I want to clarify that the Protection of Life During Pregnancy Act was used in this case, and a termination of pregnancy was performed by means of an early delivery by caesarean section owing to the gestation of the child involved. The Protection of Life During Pregnancy Act 2013 was enacted in July 2013 and commenced in July 2014. The Act provides for a lawful termination where there is a real and substantial risk to the life as distinct from the health of the pregnant woman, which may only be averted by the termination of the pregnancy. It does not allow for termination on any other grounds. The Act also creates procedures which apply to the lawful termination of pregnancy. The objectives of these procedures are to ensure that where the lawful termination of pregnancy is under consideration, the right to life of the unborn is protected where practical, as required by our Constitution, and to ensure that a woman can ascertain by means of a clear process whether she requires this procedure or not. At present, there are no proposals to amend the Protection of Life During Pregnancy Act in the lifetime of this government, but the Act will be reviewed as required next June. And there are no proposals to hold a referendum to repeal the 8th Amendment.